I don't know. I really feel like I should not be making this video, but here we are. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Vibe Z podcast, where you get a true, volume, impactful, beautiful experience. Hi, I'm Z, the one you're vibing with. Now, don't let my intro go over your head. For Vibe is the acronym for Valiant, which is possessing bravery and being courageous, impactful, not influential, and B is for beautiful. All of these are adjectives to describe this experience we're about to have. I am happy about being back. I know the beginning of this video was me not saying that, or not sounding like that, but I got something for y'all. First off, I thought I had a really, really good camera angle, but it looks like I don't. I want y'all to see me grubby grub. All right, y'all. So I have, oh my goodness, I have some catfish, some vegetables, and some potatoes. So this is what I'm going to be doing. Yes, ma'am. All right, so I don't know. Let me eat first. All right. I always do this, but let me go ahead and eat, then I'll come back to y'all. Guys, I'm back, and maybe I'm procrastinating. I don't know. Maybe I'm pushing back. I've been pushing back on this topic for so long. Part of the reason is because I had to collect my thoughts and my emotions. And I still don't know how I'm going to deliver this other than me just being authentic and real. I never thought I was going to have to make something like this. That's funny. I laugh at that because that's untrue. I didn't know it would be this soon, or I didn't know I would be influenced or impacted by the people I'm being influenced or impacted by. Impacted, I would say. I don't know. But I've been collecting things for so long, guys, because I don't know. I didn't really know the right time to say it, but I knew it was going to have to be soon because it was eating away at me, guys. It was eating away for various reasons. One, because I don't stand down. When it comes to me and what I believe in and what I truly, truly, truly stand for, I can't stand down. Like a lot of me has to stand up for myself. But recently, I've noticed that although my emotions and the way I display them, the way I possess them, and the way I wear them, although I know that's my strength, it sometimes frustrates me because my strength is also my weakness. And it's some things that I'm driven to do that my emotions get in the way of, and I don't do it in a way that I want to do it. So that's kind of annoying. But let's stop beating around the bush. Okay, I've been holding back. I've been holding back who I am as a person. I've been holding back what I'm about. I've been holding back every single thing, almost a part of myself. Now, what y'all have seen in the previous pods, it's me. It's a part of who I am, but it's not fully who I am. A part of the reason is probably because I've been so low key. I've lived my life like very off the radar, kind of like I show little things here and there, but you don't know me. The only people who know me is my close people, my close family and friends, and everyone else does not know me. And I make it that way, intentionally and unintentionally. So the podcast is displaying kind of more who I am, and that may be an unconscious driven behavior of why I've been holding back, but also not, probably a subconscious, not unconscious. Secondly, I've been holding back so much, guys. It's been on my mind, in the back of my mind, in the front of my mind, on the side of my mind. Every time I make a podcast, it's been on my mind. And I do not know why. I don't know. I told myself in this phase of my life, I am not going to let fear drive me from not being who I'm capable of being. My last chapter in my life was all about sports, and I was fearful. I was so scared of reaching my potential, and I do not know why. I was scared to take risks, and I knew that those risks would put me in a different position than what I was in, but I was too afraid to. So I said, going into this next chapter in my life, I am not going to let fear hinder me from being the best I could be. But here I am, struggling with it. Why? So here we go. I have a lot to say. Okay, so if y'all know or don't know, I'm becoming a therapist, right? And in the professional world, if I stated numerous times, many people in this profession do not have a strong social media presence. Also, I live in the state of Arkansas. And in Arkansas, people in general do not pursue a social media career for the most part. So everything about what I'm doing right now with my platform versus my profession is unique. It's different. It's rare. Did I know there was going to be some challenges? Yes, I did. Did I know that some of the challenges were going to be subliminally and indirect? But okay, let's get started. All right, so I was just recently in a social psychology class. That social psychology class really pushed me in so many ways. Mind you, I'm not a really, really big fan of research, but the professor we had was really big into research. He wasn't a clinician. He was just like a researcher. So he based his class over, the scope of his competence. Great. I'm not big into research. That's why I didn't choose a PhD. PhD students do a lot of research. Master level students do not. They know about it. They do what they have to do with it. But we do not engage in research as the PhD students do. Okay. So I was already struggling in that class because we had to read 4 different articles a week. And the articles, sometimes I have a hard time conceptualizing some of the results or some of the things that they're saying or just the verbiage in general. It's really I have to really dissect. When I read to conceptualize, and I read slower because of that. So anyways, I just wasn't fond of the class. That's just what it was. I just wasn't, but I did it. And we had this participation grade, right? So the participation grade is essentially every week we have discussion questions, and you go in the classroom and you discuss the articles that you read from the past week. All right. So each week I would try to at least say something because you have participation grades. And also because I did have some things to say, but if you know me, if you know who I am, I'm slow to speak. I'm very slow to speak. I like to observe the conversation. I like to see to gauge people's perspective before I say my own. So the class went by, and I'm just not fond of it. That's just what it is. I just don't really care for the class, but I do the work. I do everything. It's so many things, guys. It's so many things. So, okay, so we have a presentation week. So each week, each individual or 2 people from the class will present the articles. And my friend and I had a topic of close relationships, and we had to read 4 articles, and we had to present the topic and then lead discussions. Prior to our presentation, we kind of had a blueprint on what to do. We had a blueprint because we watched people for weeks and weeks. Ours was after spring break, so we watched people for weeks and weeks do that. So we thought that because we had a blueprint and people were doing well, that if we do what they did, we'll be fine. Mind you, it was the week after spring break, so we did not have very many people that engaged in the reflections. So you go and get discussion questions from the reflections, and you have 2 skip weeks. So that week was the week that everyone wants to skip because it was after spring break. Who wants to read articles during spring break? So my partner and I, guess what? We had to come up with our own discussion questions, which kind of made our like task a bit harder. Okay, cool. So as we thought we were doing good, like yeah, there was a few stumbles on my behalf until I got comfortable because that's how I present. I know myself. I know I get anxious. I know I disassociate before I present. So but I came into my senses. I grounded myself, and I ended the presentation pretty well. So anyways, we get our grade back and we get an 85. Now, I know what some of you may say, 85, that's good. Oh my goodness. But it's not. It's not for me. It's not for me. And it's not in comparison to what the other individuals in the class made. So I'm upset because what did we do wrong? What did we do different than everyone else? So I consulted with my supervisor before I went to my professor and like, am I crazy? Am I crazy? Prior to that, let's go back. Prior to that, we get a participation grade. Now, one of my best friends, I'm sure she don't mind me saying this, she's in my class. This girl don't speak in class. And I would sometimes after class tell her like, girl, you have to speak. We have a participation grade. Like, you have to speak. You have to speak. You have to speak. She just didn't really speak in class. Like, she didn't want to. She didn't feel the desire to speak or anything. So she doesn't speak in class. I speak in class almost every time. I can count on one finger when I probably didn't say more than one sentence. But we get the same participation grade. That was already a little skeptical to me. So I'm like, okay, all right. We get the same participation grade. That's interesting. It's also some people in class that have admitted to me, they're like, oh, I don't really talk in class, and they've had higher participation grades than me. Okay, so I'm kind of upset about that. That's noted in the back of my head. But then when I get my presentation back and I get an 85, now I'm borderline A. So now it's detrimental to my grade, a whole grade point average. I have a 4.0 right now. So if you give me a B because of what you feel like, I'm guessing is what you feel like I deserve, it's messing with my whole grade point average. So anyways, so I go and consult with my supervisor, then I go and talk. But as I go and talk to my professor, I did not realize, I knew that I was kind of still emotional, but I didn't realize how emotional I was. And the delivery that I intended to give my professor versus what came out was so different, guys. And I was so mad at myself in a way that, like, I was like, darn it, you let your emotions get the best of you. I was genuinely upset because why do I even have to have this conversation of the discrepancies in grades when my presentation versus everyone else's presentations was quite similar and no one else got the grade that I got? He proceeded to say that everyone has around the same grade. If an 85 and a 91, 92, 93 is the same grade, somebody let me know. Okay, so I let it blow over. I delivered the best I could at the time given. I let it blow over. Then next week, someone else presented. So now I'm hyper aware of how they're presenting to see what I did wrong, what me and my partner did wrong versus what everyone else is doing. What my professor stated was I was reading the slides when it came to the discussion. When it came to presenting the articles. I was reading the slides. Probably 90% of the time. 10% of the time I delivered what I conceptualized from the article. So I watched the people after me present. And guess what they were doing? Reading the slides. Never looked away. Nothing against them, but the people prior to us as well were reading the slides. So it's interesting to me that we're the ones who got an 85. Okay. So then, I talked to him. He was like, oh, 85 is good. In a way, I felt gaslighted because I was like, 85 is good for you, to you, not to me. I'm disclosing that this is what I feel about this. What can I do? What could I have done to earn an A? Try to go about it in a humble, professional way. So, anyways, and then again, the next class, he opened up and said, the professor opened up and said, well, I know you all are worried about grades, but grades don't really matter in grad school. To you, not to me. So I just kind of felt like it was just passive, just kind of like gaslight because I care about my grade and I'm wondering what I did different from the others that had caused me to have a low performance grade. So now I'm literally borderline on a B, guys. So then we had like this final research proposal project, and I consulted with him and asked him, what can I do to earn an A? I need to know, like, what do you expect of me? So he was like, as long as you do whatever, you should be fine. That's what he said. Should be fine, and having an A is different for me. So I'm like, okay. And then on the bottom of what he expects from the research proposal, it says, like he's open. You're open. You can consult with me and see, what you need to do for this research proposal. But some along the realms of I should go and get it, so I won't say anything that he did not say. But if I'm paraphrasing, it's like, just because I tell you what to do doesn't mean you'll get the grade that you want or whatever. So I'm okay. So if I consult with you, I still and you tell me, you give me advice that still doesn't like solidify. Okay, so I'm just gonna try my best and I'm not gonna consult with you. So that's what I did. All right. So the next week we had the topic of social media, guys. Now, mind you, obviously I have a great social media presence. I have dreamed and inspired since I knew that I wanted to go into the psychology realm, that I wanted to be a life coach, a mentor, a public speaker. Any of my psychology professors from like junior, senior year up until now could vouch for that, because I've openly disclosed that my aspirations each time it was asked. In career vocational class, in any class, I said I want to be more than a therapist. I want to have a social media presence. I want to impact more people than the people that comes in my office. I've said that out loud on numerous occasions. Actually, in my interview to get into the program, I had already made a mental health account that I now turned into my Vibe with Z podcast account. So I've always wanted a social media presence. What's different about this, being in the state of Arkansas, as I explained earlier, is just really just foreign. It is. It's foreign for people to have a social media presence, and it's definitely foreign for clinicians to have a social media presence. Some clinicians don't even have social media at all. I get it. I'm different. One thing about me and my impact and my presence when I go through programs or when I go through life, it's different. I'm different. I challenge myself. I do things differently. I do unique things. I always have been that way. I remember always being that way. Anybody I've impacted, I just reconnected with my first grade teacher. She remembers me. You know how long ago first grade was? She remembers me. We just reconnected. So like I leave an impact. I leave a different impact. You guys know, if you watch my podcast about my high school career, I left an impact. I did things no one else did in that school. I leave impacts. So it's like, I know I'm doing things different. I see myself in a great light. I love myself. Like, I don't know how else to explain it without being cocky, because I don't think I'm cocky, but I'm definitely humbly confident. I love people. I love myself. I love the way I look. I love how my body looks. I love my social media presence. I love my personality. I love the people around me. I love my life. I'm grateful 100 times a day. I remind myself of how grateful I am. I love health. I love working out. I just feel like so different. I'm explaining this because I don't think I've ever been in a position to where I feel like I'm out of place. I've never felt that way until I experienced this class or this program. And each week we have discussions, and discussions being led and talked about. I listen to these people's perspective, and I'm like, don't even want to really reveal how I think, because one, they won't understand or conceptualize where I'm coming from. And two, I don't want to vouch my personal values or lifestyle in a social psychology class. So I don't know. I just feel so out of place. Like it's a new feeling for me. I feel as if I'm a person that connects with each different type of people. Growing up, I connected with the band kids. I connected with the choir kids. I connected with the cheerleaders, the basketball players. I was a part of everything, every social group. And I can connect on each level with anybody. I met people where they were. And so, like, for me to be in a position to where, like, I genuinely feel like I simply don't belong here. Like, I simply don't fit in. I don't fit in. I don't. In any regards, I don't. The things we talk about in class, we talk about, like, okay, so we had this social media topic or whatever, and I knew that the social media topic, I was going to be, like, protected, guarded. I was going to be guarded because Mia and Waylon are my sister and brother, and they got 1 million followers on TikTok. They have a big social media presence. As well as my sister, she is a family vlogger. And right now they just started their vlogs, and they're already almost at 20K followers. Mia Waylon also has a YouTube that has like almost 100K. So, like, my brother, he's a rapper. He has 100K Instagram followers. Everyone knows him. He's done music with Gucci Mane and NBA YoungBoy, and like, my family has a social media presence. We're very talented. We're a very talented family, and I can go on and on. And so, like, to me, that's normal. To our world, that's normal. I get that some people won't conceptualize or understand, but they have some very rigid and harsh opinions about social media in the context of just very extremes. Like, family vloggers are basically exploiting their children because they're putting their full names out there, in their identification is all out in the world. And people who speak too much on social media, like, people can, like, take your voice and make you say things that you have not said. Like, yes, do I know there's a risk in having a social media presence? 100%. Yes, I do. But the things that they were saying in the class, obviously I took personal and took offense to, because that's my lifestyle, and then that's my family's lifestyle. And I just felt super, super alone in that moment. And I'm like, wow, this feeling is intense. This feeling is truly, truly intense. And how they're just really, really, really being biased towards their perspectives on social media due to what research, bias research. Okay, let me see. Let me tell you how I'll conceptualize this. Now, I'm holding back still. This is why I'm pausing like this, because I'm really holding back, and this is my platform. I just need to be open to what I think. Everybody come and say, Z, quit holding back. Z, quit holding back. Everybody in the comments, if you made it this far, say, Z, quit holding back. Z, quit holding back. Z, quit holding back. Z, quit holding back. All right, so this is what I think. I respect research. I respect the researchers. I do 100%. I think without research, we wouldn't be as far as we are today. I actually really enjoy research when I can understand it. I enjoy it. I love what it's doing for our field of psychology and just in general. Like, I respect researchers. I love researchers. So everything I say is not to offend researchers. But here's the thing. When it comes to therapy, counseling, research is great. It gives you, like, evidence, empirical things that you can, like, implement, implications, not all these things that helps you, that gives you information, that teaches you things that, But on the flip side of it, a hypothesis is basically a confirmation bias. If a researcher thinks that, like, okay, this is what I think what happened, they're going to base and conduct their research over what they think is going to happen, right? So if social media negatively impacts people self-esteem, if that's what you're thinking, that's what you're researching, that's what you're trying to prove, or that's what you're trying to get support for. So if I say social media positive benefits, research is going to pop up. If I say social media negative benefits, research is going to pop up. If I say social media, whatever the case may be, anything you type in is going to pop up and give you support for it, right? And I just feel like there's always like error in research, and people draw emphasis from things with lack of experience, and they are so stuck on it, and they are so like confident in that, as if research doesn't have error, as if research isn't really a causation but like a correlation for the most part, or a p-value. So like there's just like, it's nothing is definite, nothing is. I just don't understand how people can draw like really rigid opinions and emphasis of things they have not experienced. Experience is is goes secondhand with research, right? Like that's like me reading a textbook about Asians and thinking I know about Asians, and I've never been to an Asian country. So I'm walking around saying, oh, Asians do this, or Asians do that, or this is that, and being confident because this is what research says, this is what the textbook says, but never actually experiencing it. I cannot tell you the countless times where I'm just like thinking, this is only one part of it. Who has really experienced social media to the capacity to where they can say that family vloggers are exploiting their children, or they can say that all these negative, crazy, outrageous things about social media and lack the context of its benefits and how it can reach out to someone who cannot afford to be in the office, and how you alone in your presence and your light can impact someone and keep them going. How numerous of times where I've gotten someone reach out to me who was ready to end their life, and without social media, that person probably would have been gone. Social media brings light to a lot of things that has already happened, already is happening in this world, and will continue to happen. It looks worse than what it is because before social media, the news can only biasly tell you what they want you to hear or what they want to present. Social media exposes a lot of things that has already been happening. In the same context of there's a risk of predators on social media, I agree. But also, when we used to play outside in the front yards, there was also a lot of stories on the news saying little 15-year-old girl got kidnapped right in her front yard. It's just different technology, but same risk, guys. And to speak heavily on things without knowing someone's lifestyle or being aware of someone's lifestyle, it's just bizarre to me. So during that class, I felt offended in a way of like, wow, these people really think these things about me and my family's lifestyle. And if y'all know me, y'all know I love my family. My family means everything to me. We are a unit. We move together. We're like an empire. I love my family. So it's like a dagger. I felt alone. I knew that I wasn't going to say anything because I have no desire to explain myself to people who just wouldn't get it. My supervisor asked me, she said, well, why didn't you like vouch for yourself? Why didn't you give them a different perspective? I said, because I have no desire to vouch my way of living to people. That's why I have my platform. I told her that's why I have my platform. Because I can speak on these things on my platform. It's a part of Vibe with Z. Vibe with Z is me. I've already gotten away from that, and I just started, guys. I just started. And I can get emotional because I've been holding back because I've been fearful of what this career could take from me. But what can it take from me? I'm me. I'm not violating anything by just being me and having this platform and speaking publicly out loud. I want to share myself with people. I want to be a model for people. I want people of my color or people of my gender to know that, hey, she is doing it. I can do it too. I want to be inspirational. I want to be impactful. Everything that I learn, I want to share with people so they will have a less hard time in this world, in this life. This life is so hard. It's so hard, and I just want to be there for people. I just feel like therapy puts me in a box. Being a therapist kind of puts me in a box. I love that idea, and I'm going to pursue the career, and I want to pursue the career, but I also want to be a mentor. Because I remember in my community how there's times where moms and dads are working just to make ends meet. And there's so many kids out there that needs mentors. I want to be a mentor. I want to extend my hand outside the box without violating any ethical codes. I want to be able to go to be in someone's lives without feeling like I'm restricted in a box. If I want to have someone that I'm impacting their life and they got a basketball game and mama can't make it because she's working late at night, and I want to be able to go to that basketball game and support that person, to let them know that hey, you have this support from your mentor, from your life coach, from your I want more. I don't want to be in a box. I don't want to sit here and not be able to impact someone in a way that I know I can impact someone. So it's just I just really been holding back. I've been holding back who I am. Who I am is who I am. I love God. That's who I am. I'm a therapist. I'm becoming a therapist. And I love God. Sometimes I hold back with saying spiritual things because I'm oh my goodness, I don't want to deter someone away from coming to see me because they see my podcast and see I'm spiritual, maybe they're not. I'm not going to impose. This is what professionalism comes in. I'm not going to impose my values on you at all. I will not do that. That's a part of my professional development. This is what I have learned throughout this program. They have taught very well is to not impose your values, but I cannot not be myself just so I can connect with people. I feel like I can connect with people of all different walks of life, no matter what. But also I have to be myself because that's a part of the growth and the healing and the help is being authentically who I am. And I'm already violating that because I've been holding back. I simply just been holding back, and this social psychology class has taught me I have no reason. People are boldly and bluntly and being brave in their opinions and their what they believe in this class. Why am I the one holding back? I'm rare, yes. My beliefs are probably rare in the program or in the realm of psychology, yes. I get it. My lifestyle is probably different and rare, yes. That's probably part of the reasons why I'm holding back, but I gotta be who I am. I cannot sit there and do this to myself again. I cannot let fear drive me. I gotta let faith and bravery. I gotta be a valiant person. That's why my podcast is valiant, being brave, being courageous, possessing that as a person, being a valiant person. It's an adjective. Sometimes I use it as a verb. I'm sorry. Also, by the way, is it etc. or etc.? I say etc. Tomato, tomato. Whatever. Because I've had a really difficult but transformative experience from that class. That class has prompted my openness. It's a catalyst to me stop holding back who I am, and like I wanted to just get this off my chest. Like, I'm not holding back anymore. I can't hold back anymore. Let me tell you about this one situation that really taught me that it's not only through like textbook and like research, it's also through experience, right? So if y'all didn't know, like culturally, we always talk about culturally competence or cultural humility. Some people just go to the extent of reading a textbook about what people have drawn from to get their perception of what foreigners or different culture things are, right? People are, how they behave, how they react, how they go about living life. Good is good because it gives us some type of idea or context, but also it's not the whole complete story. So what I've always been in my life is like an overachiever. I always reach out further than what is required of me to get what I feel like I need to impact or be a valuable asset. So I have multiple best friends from different cultures. I have one from Turkey. Her name's Leela. You've seen her on the pod. I have friends from St. Lucia, Tariq and Zadie. You've seen them on the pod. They have friends that are foreign. I've been around numerous different people. I have a Nigerian best friend. Y'all have not seen him. I also have a white best friend from Texas. Y'all seen her. Her name is Jessie. She's on the pod. Those are my close people right there. That's my 4, my 5, my 4 and 5. I learned so much from them and their culture. Zadie hangs out. Her roommate is Kenyan, African. I always ask her roommate so many questions. Also, she hangs out with this Indian, and he's straight from India. And I learn from them, eat their food, figure out what they're about, talk to them, direct experience. One time, I thought I was being very culturally competent. I was actually in multicultural class, and I was just basically just really vouching for what I've learned through textbook and research, right? I was also in family and marital therapy or whatever. I was in that class, and both of those classes went hand in hand because they taught a lot about different cultures, different family dynamics, and etc. So here I am going to my Caribbean best friend, right? And saying, we have this conversation about voodoo, right? And I'm like, well, I've learned that voodoo is not what people think it is. It actually is originated from the Catholic religion and etc. And everything I learned about voodoo, I kind of spilled to her. And she looks at me and she says, and I'm like, what? Like, y'all always trying to like make things worse than what they is and da 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 and all that. And you don't understand like what these people had to go through and all that stuff. And I'm still standing on that. You don't understand what these people had to go through and all of those things. Then she looked at me. She said, I will not get into that. And I was like, why? She said, some things you just have to experience. And okay, we leave it at that. Then we revisit the conversation like months later. And I was with her and her boyfriend. They're both from the Caribbean. And I tried to vouch again from what I've learned through the textbook, through class. Never experienced, never been around, never been to the Caribbean, never been to Africa. But I'm hardcore. This is why I can speak on the situation like I can speak on it. Because I've been there before. And I've learned and I became humble. And that's how I know it's not always accurate. Experience and research is not always that accurate. It doesn't always go hand in hand, but you do need both to make an impact and to see and foster change. So anyways, we brought up the conversation again. They both was like, see, you just wouldn't get it. Like, this is stuff we actually seen, we've actually experienced. Like, this stuff is actually. And I was like, it sat me down. I was like, wow, I'm really trying to argue with people who have literally experienced it. And yes, people could say, experience is subjective. What isn't subjective? They still had that firsthand experience. Just like all the self-reports that you use in research is subjective. Everything is subjective, right? So, anyways, and then it reminded me of a few years ago. I was on a mission trip, and I think it was in either St. Louis or Cleveland. And me and my youth group had wanted to go and get some snacks late at night. And whatever we was at, St. Louis or Cleveland, I'm just gonna say Cleveland. They were like, "Oh, you probably don't want to go to Walmart at night because they literally like rob and stab, and they rob and stab and they take things from you." And some people, it goes hand in hand with the voodoo conversation. People who has not directly experienced shooting or anything of that nature from my hometown. My hometown is like, quote unquote, a dangerous town. There is crime there. It's a small town, nothing to do, and there is crime there. But crime is amongst the people who know each other, who's affiliated with streets. The crime is not someone randomly going, and you can go in Walmart any time of the day and nothing will happen to you. So my youth group, some of these people, it's like, "Oh, we're from Blavel. We're used to stuff like this." Me and my brother must have looked at each other like, "Are you kidding me? You have not seen no one get stabbed. You have not been in any type of experience where someone's shooting a gun in a random place or stabbing you or robbing you. You have not. So what makes you think that you can literally say, 'Oh, let's go here. We're used to this'?" No, you're not. You've only heard it from reports. You've only read it in a newspaper. You have not experienced it. So why would you put yourself in harm's way saying because you just want to say you've come from somewhere that's quote unquote dangerous? It absolutely blew my mind. And I was only like 16 years old, and me and my brother looked at each other like, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?" There is no way that they just said that. Like, you guys have not experienced these things to be able to just draw these rigid opinions or about what y'all think it is. It's absolutely insane to me. So I feel so good about just being so much more open and honest about my opinions, what I think my experiences and stuff. Like, I feel so much better. Like, so much better, guys. Because I've literally been holding back, like, Z. Like, it irritates me. But I can't do that. That's a part of my platform. Is to be who I am, to express my thoughts and my opinions. And it does not hinder my professionalism. Because when I go in that office, I am going to be professional. Everything that I need to be a good therapist, when I'm with a client, I am going to exercise and I'm going to be. So it's like, I'm finally able to have a clear thought process on that and distinguish the two. And it just feels so great. Guys, by the way, my next podcast is going to be a trauma story that I just recently experienced and gotten through and still healing from. But I'm going to wait on that. I'm not going to speak on that by myself. I'm going to speak on that with my sister because she was a part of that story. So you guys stay tuned. And if you haven't watched any of my other vlogs, or I said vlogs, any of my other podcasts, go tune in. Y'all, now it's about to go up. Now that I've gotten this episode out the way, it's about to go up. And I'm truly, truly, truly excited for what y'all about to see now. Now that I'm not holding back. Now that I'm authentically being myself, holistically being myself. I feel so good about it. I feel so great about it. Thank you all for tuning into the Bible Z podcast, where you have experienced a true value and impactful, beautiful experience. I'm Z, the one you vibe with, the one I just vibe with. Did y'all vibe? Did y'all really get the real me? Do y'all feel that I am relieved now from this? Oh, by the way, a new intro is coming as well. Everything is coming. It's coming, it's coming. And if y'all want to hear me sing, I don't deserve You look perfect today. I'm just playing. Anyways, thank you all for tuning into the Bouncy Podcast, and I'm so happy to be back and tune in for the next episode because it's going to be a story.